Hey guys, how are you? This is Mr. Argueta coming to you week number 3. So just wanted to give you your video, give you an update. Hey guys, I really appreciate the feedback. I'm reading through your comments. I have already updated the grades from week 1, so you guys should be able to see, and I'm going to start working, of course, this week on reading the post for week 2. So just to kind of give you an idea of what some of the stuff I've been reading, which I really appreciate you guys participating because it makes this class a much more interesting class than if it would be one way. Um, yes, I love connecting with you guys via video. So let me start off with the basic stuff. Of course, today I am having. This is a still an espresso cup. Not that's the Keurig. You know the Nespresso machine I showed you last week. But this is what I'm drinking today. It's a Starbucks vanilla flavor Nespresso coffee. And what I do, just to give you an idea, I try to stay as healthy as I possibly can. That being said, don't think I'm a health nut. I just do little things to change my bad habits. But one of the things I've done in the recent 2-3 years back is I used to put raw sugar in my coffee. And then I moved on because I wanted to lower my sugar intake. I don't have any issues with my sugar, but I also don't want to eat a lot of it. But I started doing this. It's called monk sugar. It's a plant-based sweetener. I don't like the what do you call that? Like the blue packets or the pink packets or the yellow packets. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but a lot of people use that as a sugar substitute. This is a plant-based sweetener. It's made from the monk fruit, and it does the job to sweeten it without tasting chemically to me. So I do that just to give it a little bit of a sweet taste and a background without using the sugar. So that works for me. Anyhow, the other thing I wanted to share with you this week, personally, is, and I'll show you what happened here, but my daughter actually, I told you about her. She graduated from UGA. She's now teaching, a fourth grade teacher, la la la. You've heard the story. But anyhow, that being said, when she was in high school, she went on a trip to New York with her, I guess, drama class or something like that. I don't know exactly the details. But anyhow, they went to New York, which is, I mean, if you guys, I shouldn't talk bad about you. I stood there for about 4 months during my recovery period and my transplant. So it wasn't as enjoyable to me as if it was you were going on vacation. So I'm not going to bad talk New York. I am going to bad talk their pizza. Their pizza, just for lack of a better word, is garbage. Chicago pizza, by far, you got to try it out. But anyhow, I'm a big fan of the show called The Office, so my daughter bought me this cup, World's Best Boss. Now, this was back when she was in high school. As you know, she graduated college. So through the years, the cup has broken, and it's devastating to me because, one, my daughter thought of me, and I have this thing with her, just in regards to cups, right? Because she knows I love coffee, and so she kind of thinks about that. So she also, last summer, she was studying abroad in Italy, a city called Maderna, Italy, and when she was studying out there, she came across this cup. And this is an espresso cup. I usually have espresso about in the middle of the afternoon, a shot or two of espressos. And it's just a small little cup. It has a little saucer. Anyhow, that being said, a couple of days ago, yeah, there we go. A couple of days ago, I told my daughter, that I want this cup again, but I don't want to receive it from anyone else because I feel like it's a special meaning that she gave it to me, she thought of me, la la la. So hopefully it touches her heart and she buys me a World's Best Boss Thunder Mifflin cup. That said, let's get down to business. So today it's we're talking about, or last week we talked about the ethical perspective. And I'm reading through a lot of your ethical perspectives. I have just a couple things to share before I move on to what's expected for this week. So last week, I brought up the conversation about the trolley or the train, the conductor of the train going right or going left. What would you decide? Some of you guys felt bad deciding to turn left and get rid of a child. And as I mentioned, ethical perspectives are interesting because we tend to move and navigate through that. And the way we decide is important to understand, especially in business, because that's going to navigate you through the business decisions. I'm not talking about legal issues. Legal issues are clear. I'm talking about those gray issues. What do I do in this decision type of situation? In regards to the train, those of you who said, oh, I hate the thought of it, but I would turn left and kill a child, you probably thought, am I going to hurt one family or am I going to hurt 10 different families? If these adults have families, who's the impact of killing 10 people versus the impact of killing one? And then some of you are saying, no. The adults have lived their life. The child has not lived their life, and we got to give that child an opportunity to live their life. Now, there's no right or wrong in this, so please don't take this as I'm correcting anything. There's no right or wrong in this. It's just how we are and how we process information and make decisions. So the other side of that coin is if I provided you more information, you might switch your answer. For example, if the person that said, I feel bad saying this, but I would kill the child. If I then informed you that that child is someone that you know or a person that your loved ones know, then you might change your decision, right? Because now you're connected to that individual. But if I said that that child in the future was going to turn out to be a bad individual, then you would probably feel better about that decision and be like, well, let's get rid of that problem now, right? So it plays a role in regards to making a decision. Information, the more information you have, the better, of course, you can make that choice. And the same goes for the other side. If I told you guys that the people who are on the right, the adults, were people who were they were all 99 years old and already had terminal sicknesses, then you would feel so much more positive being like, no, let the child live. Of course, these people live their life. They're 99 and they have terminal illnesses. So, okay. So the more information that you have in any decision, the better you are. Utilitarianism, of course, and then what I would call deontological thinking plays a big role in those concepts. So for those of you who have responded with, I feel like virtual ethics really fits me, deontological ethics are similar to that in regards to higher power dictating what's right and what's wrong. Some people even alluded to the fact that it's never okay to lie. So I want to, of course, my job here is to push you to think from a different perspective. I'm not trying to convince you. Please don't take it as he's trying to change my... No, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to expose you to information so you can have the most broadest view possible to make these choices. So for those virtual ethics thinkers, you're saying, there's a higher power, and I do too. I'm a person of faith. I'm a person who believes in my faith and in my convictions, but I want to challenge all of us in regards to the way we view the world. So I want to give you two scenarios. One is, for those of you who said it's not okay to lie, do you ever tell your children that Santa Claus is real? That's a lie. Have you ever then played out the story about the tooth fairy? That's a lie. And then people will say, well, that's because the fantasy and whatever. Perfect, no problem. But normally people say it's never okay to lie. So then some people then will rebuttal and say, well, I don't do that. I don't talk about Santa Claus. So as you know, I'm from a Latino background, and now the Latino culture has adapted to the Santa Claus concept. But when I was a kid, there was no Santa Claus for us in my household. My parents didn't follow that sort of tradition. That was more Northern Americanized sort of concepts. In my family's tradition, mom and dad bought the gifts, and there was no fantasy about some guy climbing down the chimney. We didn't know about that till we reached school age. And when I went to kindergarten, that I started talking about Santa Claus and doing the Christmas carols, all that. That's when I was exposed to it. But anyhow, in my family, in my immediate family, my children, we didn't practice that either. And that's not because of my virtual ethics, because let me just throw this sort of information out there. Scripturally, in the Bible, there was a woman who her name was Rahab. She lied and she hid um, people in her house so that the government of her town that she was a citizen of wouldn't capture these spies that were looking at the land to take it over. She lied. And the most interesting concept of that is that it turns these concepts on their head, because this individual, Rahab, was then later on blessed to be Christ, the Savior of the Christian faith, great, 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 great grandmother. So she was blessed for saving these people in the manner of a lie to her government. So we don't understand how that works unless you understand ethics. And ethics would say that it's not the lie that's wrong, it's the condition of why you lie that's wrong. It's the purpose of the lie that's wrong. So for those of you who are virtual ethic believers and are saying, yes, I have told my children, no problem, because it's not the issue of the lie, it's why you told the lie that makes it wrong. So in the story of Rahab, it's not that she lied, it was that she lied to protect the lives of people that were going to essentially create this pathway for the Christian Savior to be born. So that said, we see this play out in everyday life. People lie about things in war. People lie about things, and there's tons of stories. I don't have a lot of time, so I don't want to waste a lot of time on explaining it or trying to, give you stories. But I would love for you guys to dig in deeper in regards to that. And finally, excuse me for coughing, still dealing with the allergies. The utilitarianist, which looks at the best of sort of the greatest input or the greatest result. What is it? I'll give you an example, personal example. My parents, when in the 70s, in the early 70s, came to this country without the proper documentations. And I know this is a very hot topic, so I want you to understand that what happened during my parents' time and their situation is not what we see play out in our world right now, which I do not agree with. So I don't agree with people who are committing crimes. I don't agree. I think that's wrong. But my parents broke a law. They came to this country. It wasn't as heated of a topic in those times. They came in, they went to work. They never, outside of coming in without the proper paperwork, they never committed a crime outside of that. Okay. Within a few years, in 1976, I was born. During that time, there was what's called a pathway to citizenship, which means that if I was an American-born citizen, which I was, I'm the firstborn American in my family, then my parents can then apply for what they call residency. My parents broke a law, and they would never break a law in any other circumstance, but the end result of their decision of breaking this law, in their world, in their ethical perspective, they said it's worth it if my children have a better opportunity than we do in my home country. So they, in essence, use a utilitarian perspective to improve their situation. That would go like if I asked you if there was a cure for a sickness that one of your family members have and you couldn't afford it and there was no way to get it, and there was an opportunity for you to break into the pharmacy and steal it, would you steal that life-saving medication to save your family members? A lot of people would say, yes, of course, to save, and there's no other option, I would do it. If we were in a world where everyone was starving and your children were starving, would you break into a bakery to steal bread? Absolutely. I would, without a shadow of a doubt. My ethical perspective would be like, my children are the most important thing in my life. Like outside of my faith, I'm going to take care of my family. I'll do whatever it takes to do that. So in those regards, I do use a utilitarian perspective. In other regards, I use a virtuous perspective. So anyhow, this week we talk about a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. What you're going to do is look for a company, look for their internal strengths and external opportunity and threats. Internal strengths and weaknesses, also a good practice for you to do for yourself. Look at what you bring to the table as a person, strengths and weaknesses, and what opportunities that matches up to externally. So I will talk about this next week. I'll talk about my taco truck. I don't have an actual taco truck, but it's an example I use. Guys, I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're enjoying the videos and enjoying the class. Have a wonderful week. Take care. We'll see you next time.